Hello, friends. Welcome to Love Wrestling Reacts. Spencer Love here, joined as always, as usual. I suppose we got so much every opportunity I can, but it is good to see you tonight, man. How are you doing? What are your thoughts on Monday Night Raw?
Well, it beats last week's, that's for sure. I mean, not like they set the T-bar high.
Oh, that was bad. That was real bad. Of course, Vanessa's going to be joining us here in a couple seconds. Not sure if Josh is going to make it. He messaged us that there was a power outage in like 2 seconds before we went live here. So
I know as soon as he said that, I was like, oh man, it'd be awesome if the lights just went boom, 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 like Jericho's debut. Because like, I don't know why, but that just went in my head.
Halfway through the show, we're going to get like the Josh countdown timer. It's going to be great, but until then, Parrish, like we were saying, a solid episode of Monday Night Raw tonight. I quite enjoyed it, especially when compared to the programming we received last week. But if you guys are tuning in Twitch, in Facebook, or on YouTube, I suppose, to phrase it correctly, let us know your thoughts. We can chat about pretty well anything from tonight's episode, anything in between. But before we do that, let's introduce Vanessa. Nice to see you, friend. Was your jaw just like on the floor and you were picking it up following the shocking conclusion of tonight's main event?
Yeah. Well, I was trying to watch until the end, and then I was like, had to fly downstairs and start the computer, and it's a lot of running.
Well, too much for my liking. That's why I'm very lucky my office is like right by the computer. What were your thoughts on Raw, though? Like I said, maybe a little hyperbole as far as it goes, but a pretty solid episode and some nice things I thought coming out of the main event. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, the main event was good. I honestly forgot what the main event was because they never circled back on it. Yeah. So I was like, once the Drew McIntyre thing happened, I looked at my watch and I was like, it's only 10.
Yeah. This should be over.
I was like, well, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. But it was a solid main event. I didn't, do we want to start with the Drew McIntyre stuff? He opened the show with the promo. MVP came out. He said there was nothing going on with Retribution. And then, shockingly, Retribution showed up.
Yeah. No way.
Right? Who would have ever thought that would happen to kick off a show, especially when MVP gave us his word that they were not working together? Still not really an explanation on, I guess, if they're working together, but I would think it's all but confirmed, right?
Go ahead, Vanessa.
I don't know if it's confirmed. I would say never trust a man with a cane.
Well, I still think we saw the APA back in the day. Why can't the CEO of the Hurt Business just say, hey, I'm going to pay guys just to do my dirty work to make sure that we protect the champion.
Some hired
why
guns?
Not? Why not? It gives guys shots to doing that, and it's giving T-Bar and Mace a shot, who now are unmasked apparently.
Which I don't hate. I think it was overdue. I guess this is really only their second, third time on TV since the real breakup, quote unquote, of Retribution, or I guess since Ali was kicked out. It still feels overdue. You know what I mean? I felt like that would have been something that would have happened almost as a sign of disrespect to Ali when they threw him out or something along those lines. I'm really glad it happened. Parrish, you think the same?
Yeah, I also think that Slapjack is the winner for being able, the guy or girl, to have kept their mask on the entire time, by the way. I thought that was something that I think...
The old Gary Cheevers almost.
Well, I mean, it was funny. But, if you're going to end Retribution, you might as well evolve the guys in Retribution. And I found out I guess Slapjack and Mia Yim are being moved to SmackDown apparently. Yeah. So I'm kind of wondering if somebody like Keith Lee is going to be the same thing. But to stay on track with Retribution, yeah, it's just nice because if you're not going to do Retribution anymore, it's nice to kind of just get some closure and just move on. That's exactly what you have to do right now.
Don't disagree at all. Before we get to you, Vanessa, got to give a shout out to Kim, giving Raw an 8 out of 10. I personally give the bag of popcorn rating. I would give it a solid 3.5 bags of popcorn out of 5 tonight. I think that's a fair. It's a safe rating. I'm not going to get any flack for that one. You know me. Avoid.
Are you going to go with the pop count for a wrestling show? I mean, that'd be pretty funny though.
I don't disagree, but because you thought of it, I've got to consider it a little harder. I like things better when they're my idea. Vanessa, is there anything you specifically like that stood out tonight? Anything that you want to get started here on the positive end of things? I think for me, I'm pretty lukewarm on Drew McIntyre's stuff from tonight. If we're, I guess, going to put the bow on that end of things, there's not really much I really need to highlight. Drew's a solid promo, but I feel like most of the promos we're getting out of him are fairly similar. The match, you pretty well can guarantee he's going to win while he's in title contention. And tagging with Braun Strowman that certainly exists. It certainly existed on our television screens tonight, and I will move on from there.
Yeah. So I don't know. Drew, I don't know. Drew, I don't know. I don't know. I never really got on the Drew train. So in NXT,
really?
I did when he was a heel. Or no, he wasn't a heel. He was a face in NXT.
Yeah, like the first, I guess, year and a half, maybe, couple months. Hey, we've got some just sweet, sweet, sweet people in the chat there today. Who's raiding us? Tom, you sweetheart. Hello, Ed. Good to see you as well, my friend. Thank you guys for joining us. We are chatting all things Monday Night Raw tonight and anything else. You know, we find that Raw is a pretty quick recap at this point, to be honest with you. But Vanessa was just giving us her thoughts on what she's most excited about.
Yeah, I was into, and I don't know, I must have missed when Orton and Riddle got into it. So that was what I was into, that was something I hadn't seen, was Orton and Riddle. So I was all high on that match. So I think that'll set up something for the next pay-per-view. Maybe they'll keep feuding for a bit. I think they'll bring pretty good matches out of each other.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you whatsoever. Parrish, anything that you particularly liked from tonight?
I thought Riddle looked like a star, and I think that was amazing to see. Randy Orton is continually showcasing why he is the best in the business right now. He is, like he said on the Broken Skull, he wants to work with the new guys. Riddle, with one win, getting a good chunk of offense. I thought the story they told was amazing. Going back to the sleeper hold, the rear naked choke, whatever you want to call it, and how that was just played out was so good. And I think if you want to continue this, all the better, because I think these guys have chemistry, and I don't think you would have expected these guys to gel so good so quickly. I thought there would have been some feeling out, but no, they just went right in it, and I want to see more of it. Like, this is really good stuff.
I don't disagree at all. I think you guys hit all the points, to be honest with you, that I would have wanted to make on Orton and Riddle, outside of the fact that the match slapped. Going back to it, the one note that I did miss on my end, and I can't believe I missed it because we want to talk about things that I feel very positively about from Raw tonight. What about that promo from Retribution where all they did was talk about animals, hedgehogs, and that's all I remember. It's baffling that is what they did. It was something along the lines of like
Power Rangers.
That they were doing the Pokemon rap. Like, it was so odd.
Simply the best.
Yeah, there ever was.
I want to be the very best. I only know that because of somebody else's titular and that's on there. Like, I have no idea anything of Pokemon other than that and Pikachu.
Actually, speaking of coming up sooner rather than later, and by sooner rather than later, I mean when my capture card comes in, I'm going to start doing a solo run through of Pokemon Shield on here. I'm about done the Pokedex on the game on like my main account. I've got, I think, 6 or 7 left to get. But I'm sorry. I didn't know that's what you were doing. I thought you were reaching.
It would have been funny if we all did it because there's 3 of us. So like,
well,
I
thought you were reaching for your Arby's, which of course J Dub 5519. I love that the first thing he sees is Arby's. Yeah, big shout out. I also laughed, Parrish, because I saw that you commented on that, but you commented on like the Facebook stream we're doing as well. So all they're seeing on there is just like a comment that says Arby's with no context.
Maybe we can get a sponsor. How sick would that be?
Brendan's on there talking about that will be content. I agree, Brendan. It will be content, and hopefully we get that Arby's sponsorship sooner rather than later.
We want the meats.
Ed hopping in. Randy is solidifying the Hall of Fame resume that WWE has always claimed he has had. I agree. You know what? Not really, I guess, an unpopular opinion. I think their the first WrestleMania match was brutal, like a lot of people did. But I think Randy's been on the run of his career since like his first run with the Wyatt family. I really do. Since then, he's done some fantastic work. Pokemon, brought to you by Love Wrestling and Arby's. I can get fully behind that. But back to Randy Orton. Sorry, I think realistically he is. I wasn't a big fan of him through his runs with Evolution. I thought that nothing against him. It's just when you're in a faction with guys like Batista and Triple H and even Ric Flair at that time was doing some really great work. Like he wasn't the guy who stood out in Evolution, even after the breakup, like a lot of people. I never thought Randy Orton was the best babyface by any means. Since his run with the Wyatt family, I've loved it, save for, again, that WrestleMania match, their first one. I didn't even really hate their latest one, save for the finish, which I think, unless anybody's got any points on Orton specifically, we can move on. There's a couple people chatting about Alexa Bliss in the comments right now. Parrish, Randy Orton? Vanessa, Randy Orton?
I think Randy Orton just shows Randy Orton. I just think he just shows you why he we talk about like MVP ironically being the MVP since he came back. We talk about Drew McIntyre and how he stepped up his game as champion during the pandemic era. But Randy Orton's that constant, and he always will be the constant. I think it's really, really interesting that when some of these performers are getting older, like the Sheamuses, the Daniel Bryans, Edge, even to that count, they're just getting better. And I think they're just showcasing why they're some of the best talents in pro wrestling and why they're just gold. Like, no matter what, like, you want a sure thing, you put in Randy Orton. And like, it doesn't matter, like, whether it was Drew McIntyre's run, whether it's The Fiend, whether it's now like Riddle, and for whoever else they want. I mean, I would love to see them go back to Mustafa Ali, to be quite honest. I think that guy deserves an opportunity. And if Randy Orton wants to put over young guys, I think Ali is that guy. But I think he's now in a spot where you're seeing kind of the similar with Seth Rollins on SmackDown. This is the perfect time for WWE to create these new stars. And if they don't do it, this is the time we're going to go back and look and be like, this is the time they've wasted, and this is where it's probably turned to where AEW is going to get a little bit of a catch-up in terms of popularity and ratings and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, and I think it was, Vanessa, you'd probably know better than I do. You pay more attention to that than I do. They were, 1.2 last Wednesday? AEW?
Yeah.
Which is nuts. Like, you just see what that move did for them. I do want to pick up, because there are a couple people, including good friend Kim and good friend Ed. Let's talk about Alexa Bliss. Kim making the point, and Vanessa, I'll let you pick up here. Alexa Bliss's character better than The Fiend. Agree, disagree, and your thoughts on her segment tonight?
I disagree. She's doing good. Like, I'm not like, her character is good, but I don't think that they should have separated the two, because she's not who she is without The Fiend, because The Fiend brought her in, right? So I don't like how they separated the two people, and I think they should still work together. And as far as the whole Lily doll, like, they're just taking The Fiend and putting it onto a female character and saying, let's capitalize on this and move forward and make some more money.
Yeah, the thing that frustrated me was, like, that was not good Photoshop of Lily when they put her into the photos. And, like, I'll be honest, I've got all the time in the world for Supernatural Wrestling. I really do love the storyline, admittedly, with some of the flaws that's come with it, but like that was what really threw me off today. Like that one where she was hugging her and you could like see almost like a cutout of her cheek in the photo. It was weird. It was just like, it's the dumbest thing to have to notice, but like, it frustrated me so much.
When
Well,
you're
and then her
WWE,
story didn't match anyways, because she said that she was on like the playground when she was a kid, and like all this stuff that happens. Then she's like, "Oh, the teachers asked me all this stuff," and I'm like, "Well, maybe not really. Like your story's kind of not matching up."
I blame the schools.
I did like how she just openly admitted that she bullied someone, and like that's not a takeaway out of anything. Like I just think that's funny. Plus, it's like, and I don't even like strawberry, which I pop because it's like, yeah, I like strawberries, but I don't like strawberry ice. Like I just thought that was funny.
I get
like there's
that.
a
Like
little things you take away, but like I don't know. I just thought like this promo, like she's better than the promo that we saw. Like, and I think like even with her, and I think that's what it was. Like I don't think this did any positive for her and her character and the evolution of it. Like, okay, like I can suspend belief that there's a difference between Alexa Bliss and the AKA Darkness, which is the Fiend, but at the same time, give me a little bit more with what you're giving me, because right now you're kind of in that slippery slope with the confusion of that angle at Mania that you wanted to pull, and then now this. Like there needs to be more substance for us to, I think, really latch onto.
The only thing is if maybe they tie Alexa into Bray and they do it like an intergender, because she said that Lily doesn't like him.
Yeah. And Lily, like I don't know what's gonna happen. Are they gonna put her into the title scene? It seems soon for that. Like, is someone going to step up? Like, are they almost doing the Aleister Black sort of thing where it's come and knock on my door? I just don't see where they're going to go with her as far as actually getting her back in a ring sooner rather than later. Not that she's not good enough to pull off just doing these backstage segments for a couple of months or so like Bray was doing it the first little bit. But eventually there's going to have to be something. And like you guys said, I really don't know what that is, because the title picture is pretty set after tonight. Bray Wyatt, like it was odd to me they didn't even do a Firefly Funhouse tonight, right? Sheamus finally comes back after WrestleMania for the United States Championship segment. It's very, very, it's just odd for me how much of that sort of stuff they leave off, because with that Bray Wyatt, Fiend, Alexa Bliss, Randy Orton storyline, like even Orton in his promo tonight was like, or last week, I can't remember which it was, but he says, "Yeah, I'm done with the Fiend," which, of course, as soon as someone says that in professional wrestling, you know that's not the case. Like, are they going to run that back at SummerSlam or something like that? Again, just I'm unclear on the direction, and they're missing a lot of opportunities for pointing it out, if that makes sense. I'm still intrigued, but I'm slightly. It's frustrating. Well, I'm slightly frustrated by it, but I'm going to continue to just smile and wave about it and just think of that Retribution promo about hedgehogs. Parrish. Was that to make a point? Were you putting your hand up because I was rambling?
No, I smiled and waved.
Oh, smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
The only other thing is if they circle back on Nikki Cross and Alexa.
Yeah.
Well, and she was supposed to be on Raw tonight. And again, I don't know if I just missed it, so correct me if I'm ever wrong on stuff. But like, she was supposed to be on Raw tonight. Nikki Cross is going to debut new gear on Raw tonight. I saw like 7 or 8 tweets about, and nothing. Like just nothing. Whether it's true or not, okay. But like, it's just odd to me how.
But like they put all these things in. They don't put all these things in, but then they give us like Nia, Shayna, whatever that garbage is every week.
Naomi was trash tonight, by the way. Like, she took a horrible suplex bump. Like, she didn't even go up. She just went like around. Like, it just, and then like, the one thing I don't like about Lana is that anytime she gets hurt, she makes it like she does it. Like, it was the worst thing in the world, but then she's good enough to, like, do a finish, and, like, it just tone it down a little bit. It's like, don't go so overboard with the little things, because naturally she has enough talent and enough charisma as a performer where she can get by. But like, just don't overdo it because it's gonna.
You could say the same thing for Ziggler though too. Like Ziggler will sell the shit out of something and then give you
100%
famous or right after it. Like
that's why I don't believe him anymore. In like I've coined him as a Toronto Maple Leafs of pro wrestling. Even if he gets there, I don't think he's ever gonna win. So,
ouch. Hey, we're playing each other, by the way. I noticed on we're playing each other in fantasy hockey this week.
You're gonna smack me.
I hope so. I'm not going to put anything out into the universe. I don't, karma's out there. I don't want to jinx anything.
I'm going to get smacked.
I need to meet up with Curtis in the finals.
Not today.
I hope not, at the very least. I would love to lay a licking on you after winning fantasy football as well. Let's talk Viking Raiders because there's really not much to, but if we're going to advertise a Raw recap, let's at least talk about everything on Raw. Viking Raiders versus the artists formerly known as the Hurt Business. I've got to admit right now, I agree, and I bet you it's going to be like Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. That's going to be their name. I was surprised that the Viking Experience won this, to be honest with you, just based on how WWE tends to do these things. I thought we were setting up for a match at WrestleMania Backlash. So literally my only notes are Alexander and Benjamin win via dirty means, and I'm writing this note before the match starts. I was wrong. Those are my notes.
Do you think they're going to set up for like a tag team turmoil match at WrestleMania Backlash? What the fuck is with this name? Like, let's just be honest.
I don't
hate the Backlash.
I hate that. I don't hate the idea of a tag team turmoil match. Just because, like you say, man, the more opportunities, I know you've advocated for it, Vanessa, you have as well. Like, the more you can make tag team wrestling a serious thing. It's why I like the fact that there was the women's match, the women's tag turmoil match on the WrestleMania card, because it had stakes. It had stakes. It led to something meaningful on a meaningful card. Cool. That's how you establish a tag team division, right? Because, like, naturally, people are going to buy in a little bit more to Shayna and Nia. People are going to buy in a little bit more to Natty and Tamina. And the other women put in a good performance, right? Like the Riot Squad specifically. But either way, I digress. I'd love that idea. I hope they do. I don't know, again, where the Viking Experience sort of heads after this one, right? Like, again, we don't see AJ Styles and Omos today, unless I missed the segment. And why? Those guys, like Omos wrestled his first match, wins a championship. The duo's been fantastic. They've got a ton of charisma together. And they're not on the show for 2 straight weeks. 2?
Yes. His Homo sapiens are missing him, which is still the greatest name for fans.
It is. But, like, you don't hear, and that's why, like, I feel that, like, the builds that we are normally expect for all this stuff aren't happening because it takes one test to come back saying you're positive, and that's it.
And that's completely fair.
Like, of them have it, but I'm just saying.
No, and that's a completely fair point. Like, none of us claim to be insiders by any degree. If it's because of any health-related issues, anything like that, like, I'm always happy to eat my words on that sort of stuff. I can only speculate on, like, assuming that they're healthy, and I've got no reason to believe otherwise on that end either. I would love to see them on TV more because, again, they've got such a natural chemistry to each other. AJ Styles is really, really great at playing a goofy role, but still being taken very, very seriously. And then Omos, like, again, he's got a lot of natural charisma to him, but it's just a big dude. He's being taken very seriously right now. They haven't, not a shot at the guy, but they haven't sort of Strowman or Big Showed the situation yet where they've tried to make it a comedy all ages act, right? He's just naturally doing comedy well, which is the best way to do comedy, if that, again, makes any sort of sense. Parrish, before I let you get there, if that's okay, we've got Ed asking in the comments, do we think Mason T-Bar stay unmasked? I think so. I hope so. I would hope they at least go back to their original names. Like, for me, it would be a really great story if they came out and explained why they turned to Retribution in sort of retrospect. You know what I mean? I don't know how you would effectively do that and still play the heel role.
At least do it on Raw Talk. That's
a completely great point. Well, and they do it well. I just admittedly I don't ever I don't ever think of it, just for lack of a better way to put it. It's the same way like Talking Smack, most of the great promos of the week come out of that. And it is a thing that I could do a better job of paying attention to, frankly. That's a good point, Parrish. I like that shout. Vanessa, your thoughts? Do they stay unmasked?
Yeah, I still think they lost an opportunity at the Snickers campaign, so.
Well played.
That's the only. They should have just given him a Snickers. Call it a day.
Well played. Big shout as well, if we can just sidetrack for a second, the Old Spice ads they're doing with Eric Bugenhagen. And I'm not ever going to call him Rick Boogs or Booges or whatever it is. Like, Bugenhagen was the greatest name in professional wrestling. Whenever any of the announcers, Eric Bugenhagen, it's fantastic. Missed opportunity. His Old Spice commercials are the greatest storyline in WWE right now. That's where I was going with that one.
I'm going to go like a couple minutes back and just say, like, I think the reason why we haven't seen AJ and Omos, I wouldn't be surprised if they are just going to give AJ a couple weeks off just because it'd be like, hey, this is like a thank you for, being you and just like being a workhorse through the entire time. So like right after Mania, just take some time off. And to be honest, like you don't really want Omos by himself. So at this point, like you might as well just keep them off for a bit and then establish the tag team scene. So then when you establish somebody for the titles, boom, you can just put them right back. I really don't hate that, but I do want to see AJ at least do something like via satellite, even though that gets played out apart. Like AJ on satellite would be kind of funny. Like the Phenomenal Satellite or something. I don't know. Like just...
He's got all those sweet arcade games. It'd be cool. Just like all of a sudden someone just shows up while he's playing arcades and he's like, what are you doing here?
I wouldn't hate it at all. Like you said, I think that, again, there are more ways you can do it, which sort of just reinforces my point more that you could have them effectively doing something at this point, right? But have them play it off like that. Like you could almost do like a vacation with AJ and Omos, right? Have both of them there. I think it could be something really, really great. Again, friends, if you guys are tuning in on Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube, we're talking Raw and we're talking everything not Monday Night Raw. Throw your questions, comments, concerns, complaints, and anything in between in the comments here. Goose right here, wrestling in a mask is difficult. Whatever happened to Slapjack? As of this point, I don't know. I know he was in the Andre the Giant. I haven't seen him
and Mia Yim it's being rumored that they're being moved to SmackDown.
Okay, I saw Mia Yim. I did not see him.
But it said
that rhymed unintentionally.
Mia Yim and Shane Thorne, not Slapjack.
Good. All right, I'll take it. Yeah, great, excellent, fantastic, wonderful. I'm vamping, if you guys can't tell, because I opened the wrong screen. I thought I had my notes in front of me. That's really the only excuse I've got for you guys.
Just give one of us the tag, brother. We got you.
Well, I would have, but I didn't think of that on the spot quickly enough, okay? Calling it in the ring has never been my strong suit. To talk about the tag teams, don't really want to talk about neither Elias nor Jackson Riker. No real need to, outside the fact that Elias won his match tonight. I want to give a shout out to Xavier Woods and his bass guitar. I really loved it. It was fantastic. And Kofi Kingston hitting the Lou Thesz press as Xavier played Stone Cold's theme on the bass was perfect. Absolutely perfect tonight. Again, that's really I didn't take very detailed notes tonight.
The backstage with Riddle was good too there.
Yeah.
All of it was good. I even loved Randy Orton's promo when he went up to Adam Pearce earlier in the night. And he was like, who's that guy with the long hair and no shoes? I can't remember his name. And like booked the match from there. All of it was fantastic. I liked the fact that on Raw tonight they seemed to have at least attempted to have every segment flow together and have those backstage interactions. One thing that I've always, or at least recently disliked, I guess, over the last few years is that they've always had Raw very segmented. SmackDown, they've had this where you interact backstage. It is like being in an arena full of people. You would bump into your coworkers in the backstage area or in the break room or whatever in any other workspace. But in WWE for the last little bit on Raw, it seemed as though they were like, okay, here's Randy Orton. We can only have Randy Orton interact with Drew McIntyre. And these are just examples. Drew McIntyre and one other person, whoever's going to be in their triple threat that we've built for tonight for storyline purposes. Whereas tonight, like Riddle's in segments with 3 different people. They're all interacting. I just think stuff like that adds to the realism of it. You know what I mean?
I think that's just with the times changing with COVID. So things are starting to kind of, at least in Florida, because they're open a little bit more, I think they're starting to let the reins go a little bit. But even like listening, like Pat McAfee, who's doing SmackDown, he was talking on his show today, and he's like, there's nobody backstage. He's like, you're lucky to bump into somebody half the time.
Huh. I haven't heard his show from today.
I am going to say in that tag match 2 things. Elias is looking jacked, by the way. And 2, I am popping for Corey Gray's random Les Claypool.
I heard that too.
Because who doesn't want a little bit more Limp Bizkit in their life? Come on. Be honest.
I was thinking of like Claypool Lennon, but I'll
yeah. Come on.
Which like Alexa Bliss is rocking those like white contact lens like Claypool too.
How's the Arby's?
It's delicious. It's really good. And a root
4 burgers.
Jesus.
Man, their everyday menu, like the junior bacon cheddars, are fantastic. And they're like $1.50.
4 burgers.
I haven't ate since like 8 hours. I have like 2 meals a day deal. Well, yeah, I'm hungry. Fuck, leave me alone.
To be honest with you, though, that's all I really had as far as notes go. Miz TV certainly existed. I'm glad that they had Damian Priest pick that win back up. I hope that ends sooner rather than later. I don't know. Again, there's not really a lot of clear directions for people coming out of WrestleMania, which they usually do a pretty good job of establishing.
Do you think the draft is coming? Because this kind of leads to something like that.
I really hope so, and they usually do it around May or so. I can't remember off the top of my head when the last one was. It feels like it's usually like
fall.
They did it in like October randomly. I was just gonna say one time, so I don't know if that was the last one.
Well, whenever Bliss moved from SmackDown to Raw, that's when it was.
I couldn't tell you.
In the fall, September, October. It was right before Survivor Series.
Oh yeah, which was really weird timing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why would you ever do that before Survivor Series? I don't get it. This is why I don't run a wrestling promotion, nor should I ever. Anyone else got anything from Raw tonight? I'm really tapped out, to be honest with you. There wasn't a ton. It was solid. There was a lot of repeats, though, tonight. Even Lana and their tag team match tonight. Well, their tag team match tonight, like Sean Ross Sapp tweeted out, it was their 14th match against each other since September.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Well, I mean, I think that just shows like maybe this draft is needed, and like maybe like it really was a mistake breaking up the Iconics, who were just again they were a constant in that division. Like, it just makes zero sense to the investment that they have with tag team wrestling in my eyes, because this is definitely something that brings you a different flavor in your show that, you know, allows the other singles matches fresh. Like, you don't want to see 12 singles matches on Raw. It just gets boring and convoluted with, you know, the same stuff. Like, at least tag matches can offer that something different. But with that, like, I do want to kind of touch on the open challenge for Sheamus. Like, I think it'd be a crime not to talk about Sheamus tonight. And how kind of, we both kind of said, like, it was nice to see kind of a fresh face in Humberto Carrillo coming out and answering that, even though he, you know, got pretty much everything knocked out of him.
I
But
loved
at
it though. Like
at the same time, it gave that
doing a
open
great
challenge a
job.
new spin, though, right? It's like you want to say yeah, you want to come out. Okay, well, this is going to happen to you. We might not have the match because I might not want it.
Yeah. And it's
Like,
very true to Sheamus's character. Like it felt like that bar fight brawl sort of feel, you know what I mean? And at the expense of Humberto Carrillo, but it sucks to say, but you knew exactly what was going to happen when he came through the curtain, right? Like that's just unfortunately the role that he's been presented in the last little bit. That is no comment to his talent whatsoever. The guy's insanely athletic, but unfortunately, that's sometimes what you need in a guy to make it look like he's taking a convincing beating. Who would you want to see next week? I'll throw that question to you.
Vanessa?
For Sheamus? I don't know. I'm trying to think of who's left that we haven't seen in a while. Man, or maybe send Garza out there?
Yeah.
I'll go with who I said in Slack. I would love to see a returning Aleister Black.
Yeah.
I don't see him coming anytime soon.
No, I see him coming back sooner rather than later, but I don't know if that'd be the right spot for him just on the fact I think that eventually, I don't know if he'll be next week. I just think that Keith Lee, if he does eventually come back, health pending and all of that sort of stuff, I think he'll be the guy to take the title off of Sheamus.
I just wonder if like, since Mia Yim is going to SmackDown, if we're going to see Keith Lee join. Because they seem to kind of keep those couples around each other, so it's very curious to me.
But they just moved Graves to SmackDown and Graves to Raw, and Carmella's still on SmackDown. So
yeah, and I wonder if that
live in Florida now, and they're not.
That's what I was just gonna say. If they're not doing house shows and all of that sort of stuff, it does make it a lot easier, right? Goose hopping in. I'd like to see Pete Dunne versus Sheamus. That is a hell of a call.
I mean,
that's a hell of a call.
Finn Balor might be an interesting call-up if they don't want to keep him in NXT.
I don't think. Okay, I'm just gonna throw it out there. Balor chose to go down to NXT.
Yeah,
it wasn't. And Pete Dunne chose to stay in NXT. So,
I mean, I have a feeling this open challenge thing is going to last for a bit.
Can you repeat that because your mouth was full and you were crumpling Arby's papers?
And you were interrupting me.
No.
I said I think that this thing is actually going to be something that goes on for a few months. Like, I don't think this is a one and done thing. I think they really want to emphasize Sheamus's open challenge thing for a few weeks to come. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do a draft and maybe a returning or like a debuting or whatever the case may be might be the guy that actually brings you that shock factor on this open challenge.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree. What if they bring
Cena back just for one night for fun?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Even like Carlito. Again, I know it's an answer that is pretty easy to give given his Royal Rumble return and how well it was received. But why not? That guy, again, is not only a hell of an athletic individual, but he hits hard. Like, going back and watching some of his past matches, he's good. He's really good.
I am curious to why they reference Cena, of all guys, on the U.S. title thing. Why him specifically? Sometimes WWE...
The one who did the open challenge only?
No. AJ did it too for a bit. He did it to mock Cena, though. But at the same time, like, I think sometimes WWE does do these things on purpose, though.
Oh, for sure. But I just think, to be honest, whether he was the most recent or not, he's definitely the guy who's most well associated with like the U.S. title open challenge. There's really no arguing that. Like, his run with that was actually incredible. It's insane. Like, you think of what could have happened if Sami Zayn didn't get hurt in that match. He was introduced in Montreal by Bret Hart against John Cena. Oh, man. Just absolutely insane. Josh hopping in the chat. That was an audio nightmare, Parrish. As a content creator, I must yell at you for that.
Well, maybe pay your electrical bills and show me how it's done.
Ouch. It's Australia. You know what? It was probably like some sort of alligator attack.
His bill payment was down under. Oh.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no! Here, you're out of here for 10 seconds. Vanessa, not only am I going to let you give your highlight of the night before Parrish hops back in here, but let us know where we can find you.
Okay. Highlight of the night. I'm going to give it to Charlotte because I'm a Charlotte mark. Always will be. Don't care. And her new character right now, this is who Charlotte should have been from the day she debuted. Doesn't change. Like, this is who she should have been. None of this wavering of I'm a face, I'm a heel. No, this is exactly who she should have been because she is the top for the females. Like, Natty's up there
The
too.
Opportunity is a super cool nickname. I really like that. I hope they keep pushing that.
I do too. My 4-year-old is upset because she still calls her the queen. She's like, no, Mom, she's still the queen.
Yeah.
So
No.
my 4-year-old, or no, she's 5 now, but yeah. So my 5-year-old's upset that she now has a new name, but she still likes
gotta break some eggs to make an omelet.
Yeah. So that's good. And the fact that she like went after the referee gives her some edge. And now what? She's probably gonna get suspended for a bit, or however they're gonna play it out. Who knows?
Suspended, I gotta play.
Yeah, again, sometimes you just gotta go with it. So we'll see what happens. Maybe she'll just throw some money at Adam Pearce and tell him to go away. Who knows?
I wouldn't dislike that at all. I really wouldn't dislike that at all. Parrish, your highlight of the night.
Matt Riddle, Randy Orton. I think that was a very surprising match that I don't think anybody really expected. And Randy Orton made Riddle look like $1 million, and Riddle took full advantage of it. Yeah, that's my highlight of Raw.
Don't disagree with you at all, Vanessa. I'm going to have to agree with you on Charlotte's end. I really, really love the promo. She has been fantastic since coming back. I really like the main event tonight, too. I'm not sure, to be honest, how I feel on the finish. Like, Rhea Ripley has directly gotten involved, and I think every match she's been a part of in the finish. And, like, not in a positive, I've pinned someone way, but, like, the first match before Mania, okay, makes sense. Okay. Stop it. Just stop it. Because now I don't know if you're a heel or face or what. Yeah, they all make sense. Don't get me wrong. It was just odd for me, again, that, like, she's chosen to get involved in everything.
And here's like I love Rhea too, but like, okay, so Damian Priest came out, right, and he does his promo with The Miz, and he doesn't do the bow and arrow, and he doesn't do the whatever the arm thing in the middle of the ring. Every time Rhea comes out, she has to do the like high kick in the air and stomp her foot. Like, yeah, you're just coming out to sit in a chair. We don't need to see you stomp your foot.
I actually really liked on Rhea's end that she sort of like circled the ring. Like, not many people when they come out do that a ton. And I like the fact that, like, trying to get closer to the action, for the most part, she did play that scouting role, quote unquote, really, really well. I don't like the fact that it's happened so often, so close together is my thing. Get involved in matches. There's no issue there. It's just this close together so consistently, like quite literally, I think this was her 4th, 5th week on main roster, using that air quote lightly again, because NXT is a third brand, and rightfully so. But Charlotte Flair, I'm going to go back to that as my highlight of the night. Friends, I think that's about it. That's all I've got as far as Monday Night Raw goes, unless, again, I'm forgetting something, as I usually tend to do. But it's a 3-hour program. You can excuse me sometimes here.
One thing I wanted to say is, why do they always have to go on commentary? Why can't somebody just bring a chair out and sit on the ramp and or sit up at the top of the stage? Like, you used to see that all the time, like 10, 15 years ago. And it's just, I think, a lost art where you don't need to hear them all the time. You
Rhea wasn't really on commentary tonight. And if she was, admittedly, I didn't notice it.
But like, sometimes, like, I feel like they go away from just the simple that always works, like, and then the commentators can play the narrative, like, what is she thinking? Well, what is she doing? What is her intention? Like, is she here to do something to Asuka? Is she here to do something to Charlotte? She has reasons for both, and then it just makes whatever she does more meaningful and impactful. And Josh, it was a rib. I'm sorry.
It is what it is. Now, Parrish, I'm going to let you plug your stuff first, because Vanessa, I think that Putting You Over is live right now, so we are going to be rating them after this. So I'll let you plug them, and then we will raid them following the plugging. That will be the order of things as determined by Spencer. Parrish, you may begin plugging where people can find you online.
You can find me on Twitter at Chris Parrish, on Instagram at Chris.Parrish, on Twitch at the Chris Parrish, and you can follow at Love Wrestling CA everywhere on Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, everything. Just do it. We have good stuff.
I don't disagree. You know where else we've got some good stuff? On our merchandise store, we've got a lot of great new things in there. Not only the masks and the stickers that we have plugged since pretty well the inception of Love Wrestling, but you can pick up your new Sunday brunch mugs on there. And our brand new t-shirts collaboration with Sea of Dead will be coming in this week. So get your pre-orders in. Get your hands on the first official shirts from Love Wrestling. Couple goals we've got this week. We are trying to hit 100 followers on Twitch. I believe we were at 90 or 91 at last count on my end. So if you liked what you saw tonight, you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, it is appreciated. However, if you want the same great content and you want to help us hit a goal, twitch.tv/Love Wrestling CA is the way to do it. However, if you are on YouTube as well and you want to see some more great pre-recorded content, we've got some great interviews coming out this week. Josh, who you saw in the comments, has a feature on Stephanie McMahon. That'll be coming out this Saturday. So a lot of our extra features, a lot of that sort of stuff can be found in that link right there. And we are trying to become a top 10 Canadian podcast once again. So if you want to give us a hand at ratethispodcast.com/Love Wrestling CA, not only will the reviews help us out in all important Apple algorithms out there, but it will donate 25 cents if you give us a review this month towards Meals on Wheels. They do some great work. I can personally speak to that. So please give them some support. They're really doing some great work pretty well in any community that you may be watching this in. Vanessa, I'm going to give you the big screen right now. Plug Putting You Over and encourage people how to follow not only them, but you personally, so that I can get this raid set up.
Okay, so you want to come to the SNL of Twitch for a wrestling show where we pretty much talk about everything but wrestling, go to Putting You Over, twitch.tv/Putting You Over. We also host the Smacked Raw podcast, so they do recap shows after every wrestling show. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every night there's wrestling, except for Impact. They don't do Impact for some reason. So you can come to Love Wrestling for that one.
Yes, great suggestion.
There's a niche, you got to fill it, right? So that's about it for there. We don't have a guest tomorrow, but I believe we're going to do a watch along for a crossbody pro wrestling show.
Cool.
We haven't decided the match yet, so we'll probably decide on the fly because that's how we roll. We don't really plan anything. And then if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Ms_Wiper.
Beautiful friends. Thank you for tuning in to Love Wrestling Reacts. If you were watching on Facebook, if you were watching on YouTube, you guys are going to see our music shortly, and you're going to see our graphic. You're going to hear our music. Get things right, Spencer. Come on. It's been a long day, but you can still
Case of the Mondays.
Someone's got a case of the Mondays. Hopefully, you guys can fill that void and fill that case of the Mondays on Putting You Over. Join us there as we raid. If you guys are elsewhere, here's the music. We'll see you guys soon.
Raid.